The Mossad spy missions, too insane to be real. Welcome back to our YouTube channel, where we explore thrilling stories, shocking secrets, and the hidden truths behind major world events. Today, we're diving into one of the most mysterious and fearsome organizations on the planet, Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency. They're not just spies. They liken themselves to a global film production company where they write the script, direct produce, and star in the show. The world is their stage, and their missions, well, they're straight out of a Hollywood action movie, but with the stakes being human lives and the safety of millions. In this video, we'll delve into 4 of Mossad's most iconic operations, from hunting down the ghost Imad Mughniyeh, to the failed assassination in Dubai, to the audacious plans to eliminate Hamas and Hezbollah leaders. Get ready, because this story is full of twists, heart-stopping moments, and costly lessons. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Now let's get started. A to T, Part 1. Mossad, the directors of the espionage world. If you think James Bond is the pinnacle of espionage, you probably haven't heard of Mossad. Israel's intelligence agency is renowned for missions so bold, they seem unbelievable, infiltrating enemy strongholds, capturing untouchable terrorists, and even tricking militant groups into buying rigged electronic devices. Have you ever thought a walkie-talkie or pager could become a deadly weapon? Mossad made it happen. Their strategy, simple but ruthless patience. They observe, plan, and strike when their target feels safest. That's when Mossad sends their message: nowhere is safe. No one is out of reach. They call themselves a global production company, writing the script, directing, producing, and starring. But not every film has a perfect ending. Mistakes, failures, and deadly risks highlight the dangers of their work. Today we'll explore 4 major Mossad operations: the assassination of Imad Mughniyeh, the ghost of Hezbollah, the notorious failure in Dubai with Mahmoud Al-Mabhouh, the elimination of Ismail Haniyeh, the mastermind behind the October 7th attack, and finally the operation to rig walkie-talkies and pagers to cripple Hezbollah. Each operation tells its own story, but together they showcase Mossad's boldness, creativity, and occasional mistakes. Let's dive into each one. Part 2. Imad Mughniyeh, hunting the ghost. Context: an untouchable enemy. Imagine you're a Mossad agent tasked with hunting a man known as a ghost. Imad Mughniyeh, a Hezbollah leader, the notorious terrorist organization in Lebanon. He was a criminal mastermind orchestrating horrific attacks, including the 1983 Beirut airport bombing that killed 191 U.S. Marines. He targeted Israelis and Jews worldwide, from bombings to brutal kidnappings. For Israel, Mughniyeh wasn't just a threat, he was target number 1. But here's the problem: for over 20 years, no one knew what Mughniyeh looked like. All Mossad had was a blurry, outdated photo, not enough to identify him. He was a ghost, appearing and vanishing without a trace. Mossad tried luring him out by assassinating his brother, another Hezbollah operative. They waited at the funeral, hoping Mughniyeh would show up. But he was too cunning. He didn't attend, and his brother was buried without him. The turning point in 2004. Everything changed in 2004 when Hezbollah made a fatal mistake. After Israel eliminated Ghaleb Awali, a senior Hezbollah commander, the group produced a propaganda video to commemorate him. Big mistake: Mossad obtained the video and analyzed every frame. Then something unexpected happened. They spotted Mughniyeh standing next to Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. For the first time in decades, Israel had a clear image of him. They also knew that if he was near Nasrallah, he was likely somewhere in Lebanon. But that wasn't all. Mossad pulled off a major coup. They hacked into Iran's government system, which stored files on its allies and proxies, including Mughniyeh. They discovered that since 2006, he had been living in Damascus, Syria, under a false name. This was a golden opportunity, but also a huge challenge. Syria was a hostile nation with sophisticated and ruthless security forces. If an Israeli agent was caught, the consequences would be unimaginable. The assassination plan in Damascus. Mossad knew operating in Syria was too risky on their own. So they did something unusual. They asked the CIA, America's intelligence agency, for help. But the CIA had a strict policy against starting conflicts with neutral countries like Syria, with which the US still had diplomatic relations. However, the US had their own reasons to want Mughniyeh gone. He had sent operatives to attack American troops in Iraq. After negotiations, the CIA agreed to assist with two conditions. Only Mughniyeh could be targeted with no collateral damage, and Mossad would carry out the assassination. Mossad began tracking Mughniyeh and found an unexpected weakness. Despite his obsession with security, he drove alone to meet 3 women provided by Syrian security services. This was a major lapse. But how could they get to him without being detected? Mossad noticed that Mughniyeh and his bodyguards meticulously checked his car for explosives, but never the spare tire cover in the back of his sleek silver SUV. That was the key. Mossad decided to plant an explosive device in the spare tire cover. For months, they tracked Mughniyeh, waiting for a moment when his car was unattended. One night, while he was occupied with one of the women Mossad agents moved in. They swapped the tire cover for a new one, embedded with a sophisticated explosive designed to eliminate only Mughniyeh without harming others. Result: the ghost eliminated. It wasn't easy. Mossad nearly detonated the device 32 times but stopped at the last second because Mughniyeh got into the car too quickly or was too close to others. They couldn't break their deal with the CIA. But the 33rd time was the charm. On a cold February evening, Mughniyeh left a meeting with Syrian intelligence and Hezbollah officers alone. As he approached his SUV, the agents pressed the button. Boom! After 30 years of pursuit, the ghost Imad Mughniyeh was finally eliminated. This operation exemplified Mossad's patience and creativity. But not everything always goes smoothly. Let's move to the next story, where Mossad faced an embarrassing failure in Dubai. Part 3. The Dubai debacle, the assassination of Mahmoud Al-Mabhouh. Context: Hamas's arms smuggler. Shift the scene to Dubai, the Middle East playground of the rich with dazzling skyscrapers, indoor ski slopes, and the turquoise waters of the Persian Gulf. But it's also a hub for notorious militants like Mahmoud Al-Mabhouh. A key Hamas member, he orchestrated the smuggling of Iranian weapons into Gaza, weapons used to attack Israelis. He had also kidnapped and killed 2 Israeli soldiers in the 1980s, boasting that his only regret was not pulling the trigger himself. Israel had been after Al-Mabhouh for 2 decades. He frequented hostile countries like Syria, Iran, and Sudan, where Mossad couldn't easily strike. But Al-Mabhouh had another regular destination, Dubai. Compared to Iran or Syria, Dubai was a safer option. With countless foreigners passing through, Mossad agents could blend in as tourists. Plus, Dubai's security wasn't as sophisticated as other hostile nations. Mossad thought any investigation would hit a dead end. They were wrong. First failure. The poison mistake. In 2009, Mossad sent a team to Dubai to track Al-Mabhouh and study his habits. They entered using fake identities and foreign passports, some belonging to real people, unaware their documents were borrowed. Their first attempt was to assassinate Al-Mabhouh with poison. It was a disaster. The poison only made him slightly ill, and he didn't even realize he was targeted. The good news, Mossad's involvement stayed secret. The bad news, Al-Mabhouh was still alive, and Mossad was determined to try again. Second attempt, a string of mistakes. In January 2010, Mossad's hit squad returned to Dubai, and this is where things unraveled. Mistake 1, they reused the same fake passports from the previous mission. Mistake 2, the team split into small groups checking into different hotels, but some used debit cards issued by a company run by an Israeli. Mistake 3, to communicate. They routed calls through a switchboard in Austria to avoid detection, but this left a clear trace. Mistake 4, while Mossad was known for masterful disguises, wigs, hats, glasses, even posing as tennis players, they couldn't evade Dubai's dense network of security cameras. One agent entered a bathroom bald and left with a full head of hair, but the cameras caught it all. Execution and consequences. Just 6 hours after Al-Mabhouh arrived in Dubai, the hit squad broke into his hotel room. In 20 minutes, they completed the mission, leaving him on the bed, appearing to have suffered a heart attack. They quickly left the hotel and boarded flights out of Dubai. At first, hotel security thought they'd found an unlucky tourist who died naturally. They didn't know Al-Mabhouh was a Hamas operative, as he traveled under a false name. But Hamas wasn't fooled. When Al-Mabhouh stopped answering calls, they sent an agent to search police stations and morgues, finding his body. Dubai launched an investigation. Using security cameras, airline passenger lists, and debit card data, they quickly traced the hit squad. The calls routed through the Austrian switchboard and the debit cards linked to an Israeli company were undeniable evidence. Dubai released security footage reconstructing the squad's movements almost to the minute. The diplomatic fallout was intense. France condemned the assassination as unacceptable. Australia called the use of fake passports a serious violation. Though Al-Mabhouh was eliminated, the operation was a failure. Several agents were exposed, and Mossad's less than sophisticated techniques were revealed. But Mossad learned valuable lessons which they'd apply in future missions. Part 4. Imad Mughniyeh, eliminating the October 7th mastermind. Context: a lavish Hamas leader. Now to another figure, Imad Mughniyeh, Hamas's leader, and a mastermind behind the horrific October 7th attack that killed tens of thousands of Israelis and Palestinians. Mughniyeh once ruled Gaza with an iron fist but moved to Qatar in 2017, living in luxury in one of the Middle East's richest countries. While Gazans struggled to survive, Mughniyeh amassed a $4 billion fortune. A true man of the people. Right, Qatar hosted Hamas. Leaders at the U.S.'s request to facilitate communication with the group, meaning Israel couldn't strike Mughniyeh on Qatari soil without risking their alliance with the U.S. Mughniyeh frequently traveled to dangerous countries like Turkey, Russia, and Iran. In Iran, he stayed in a heavily guarded hotel, the guest house of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. A golden opportunity from an unexpected accident. In May 2024, an unexpected event gave Mossad an opening. Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi died in a helicopter crash. Iran held a state funeral and a presidential inauguration, and Mughniyeh, a key figure in Iran's terror network, was certain to attend. This was Mossad's chance, but time was tight. They had only weeks to plan the assassination of one of their top targets. The plan and the air conditioner mishap. Mossad smuggled an explosive device into Mughniyeh's room at the IRGC guest house. But just as everything was set, a problem arose. The room's air conditioner broke. July in the Middle East is scorching, and Mughniyeh left to fix it. Raising fears, he'd switch rooms, which could derail the plan. Fortunately, he returned. In the early hours of July 31st, 2024, the agents pressed the button. Boom, Mughniyeh, the October 7th mastermind, was gone. Our return's consequences. The operation was a major success, but the conflict with Hamas and Hezbollah raged on. Israel faced attacks on multiple fronts, and Mossad knew they needed a bolder strategy to tackle Hezbollah. Let's explore the final operation, one of Mossad's most ruthless and creative plans. Part 5: Trapping Hezbollah. Exploding walkie-talkies and pagers. Context: Hezbollah's rocket threat. In 2023, Hezbollah's rocket attacks on northern Israel displaced 60,000 residents. Israel couldn't let this continue. They needed a plan to cripple Hezbollah, and Mossad devised a wild idea: turn innocent communication devices into deadly weapons. The walkie-talkie plan, a 10-year wait. Back in 2014, while Taylor Swift dominated with Shake It Off and Russia hosted the Winter Olympics, Mossad began a long-term operation. Knowing Hezbollah wanted walkie-talkies for their fighters, secure instant battlefield communication. Mossad copied a popular Japanese design, swapped some battery components for tiny explosives, and sold 16,000 units to Hezbollah through a complex network of shell companies. Then they waited like Cold War sleeper agents. Pagers, weapons of a bygone era. Years later, a female Mossad agent proposed a bold idea: rig pagers. In the smartphone age, pagers were obsolete, but for Hezbollah, they were perfect. Pagers couldn't be hacked, making them ideal for a group paranoid about tracking. Initially, Mossad dismissed the idea as few in Hezbollah used pagers. But when Hezbollah's leaders grew wary of hacked phones, they switched to pagers. Mossad sprang into action. They set up a shell company in Budapest, securing a licensing deal with Taiwan's Gold Apollo to produce a new line of pagers. These were bigger, tougher, and embedded with explosives in the battery. Designed to injure, not kill, they had a tiny blast radius. Mossad even tested ringtones to ensure Hezbollah would check the pagers immediately. To convince Hezbollah, Mossad ran YouTube ads to make the product seem legitimate. They quoted exorbitant prices to deter regular customers, but offered Hezbollah free samples and bulk discounts. Hezbollah fell for it completely. Nilan Pariburuan Tabuanin. Execution and results. By fall 2023, Hezbollah grew suspicious of the walkie-talkies purchased a decade earlier. A technician raised questions and Mossad eliminated him with an airstrike. But time was running out. When Hezbollah asked Iran to inspect the pagers, Mossad acted. In the afternoon of 2023, they sent an encrypted message to thousands of rigged pagers, triggering the explosives. A wave of explosions rocked Lebanon, shocking the nation. Days later, Mossad activated the 16,000 walkie-talkies. Hezbollah's communication network collapsed. Thousands of fighters were incapacitated, and in the chaos, Mossad assassinated Hezbollah's elusive leader, Hassan Nasrallah. Part 6: Conclusion. Mossad's eternal message. Mossad is more than an intelligence agency. It's a symbol of patience, creativity, and determination. From chasing Imad Mughniyeh for 30 years to the painful failure in Dubai, to bold operations like eliminating Ismail Haniyeh and crippling Hezbollah, Mossad has proven they'll act despite the greatest risks. But what makes Mossad truly fearsome isn't just their techniques or technology. It's the message they send to Israel's enemies. We're always watching. Nowhere is safe. No one is out of reach. Not every mission succeeds, but each failure sharpens their edge. Thanks for watching this story. What do you think of Mossad's daring operations? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it exciting. We'll see you in the next thrilling story. Until then,